And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world. Welcome back to another episode of The Real Lil Show. Is going down, just so you know. All right, real talk, real content, real impact. You know how we do. We make it do what it do. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel right now. Support new media. As you know, ESPN is falling. Okay, they're getting rid of everybody. Ryan Clark got the hammer. But one thing you're not going to see me do is crying. Okay, you're not going to see me crying. All right, I'm out here doing my own stuff, and I love what I do because guess what? You can't buy freedom of speech. All right, you cannot buy freedom of speech, and I live the life every day because I get to talk on this mic and say what the hell I want to say, how I want to say it, when I want to say it, and that's just what it is. So yeah, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because I want to give you thoughts that are not manufactured. I don't read off a teleprompter. I'm giving you the real Lil and the real deal. All right. So yeah, loaded show. We're gonna shorten it a little bit, but still got some heavy topics here. We're gonna talk about LeBron James. We're gonna continue that conversation, pick up where we left off from the last show that we did on Friday when the news broke of him going to the 76ers. We still got more to talk about on that side of town, or should I say 2 hours from here? Okay. But LeBron James, according to him, it seemed like it's from the other side, you're gonna be taking a helicopter to games. We're gonna break that down and give our reactions to that equation along with some other basketball stuff. The Warriors, it left them in a frenzy. We're gonna talk about how does the end game look for Steph, and we got some quarterback rankings that we are gonna continue to do, but we're gonna jump forward. All right, we're gonna skip a couple spots. And we're gonna jump forward all the way to the top 15. We are gonna break it down today. I got my guy Lee to help me do so. Lee, how you feeling? What's going on, Lee? I think my guy Lee Wi-Fi is acting up. Lee, you there? Yeah, my guy Lee network be a little bit backlog a little bit. I gotta send my guy Lee some Wi-Fi. Okay, I gotta send his neighborhood some Wi-Fi. Lee, you there?
I'm here, man. I'm here. I'm here.
All right, perfect. All right, man. We're gonna start it off with the first topic that we have here. We're gonna talk about LeBron James and Lee. The first thing I want to do is I want to play a clip from Rich Paul's podcast, and then we can break it down. So let's hear from
All right.
Rich Paul.
Let's do it.
And now is playing for the Sixers right in Kobe's hometown, basically.
I actually think this is something Kobe would be extremely, like, I don't know if proud's the right word.
Proud is the word, I think.
Yeah, but I think he would be like, hell yeah.
Right.
Because
it's a
competitive
challenge.
Move. It's a competitive move. It's a challenge. It shows that this guy really.
All right, Lee, the question I have here is with LeBron James reportedly, living in New York and commuting to Philadelphia after signing with the 76ers. I want to know your thoughts, Lee. The mic is yours. We got to give my guy Lee a couple seconds. Lee, I think your thing is backlogged a little bit. You're getting a delay.
And I think, the more time LeBron can spend with his team, ingratiating him teammates, the out for the 76ers. My deal is, why not get an apartment in Philly, take in the culture, let the fan base see you as a true 76er, and wasn't LeBron James, and the spotlight wasn't as bright as it's going to be as it is on LeBron. So I just think he should stay in Philly, ingratiate himself with the fans of Philly, get to know his teammates better, hang out in Philly with his teammates, and start to build that camaraderie and make sure that they're locked in together. Helicopters, hey, it's not a long trip from Philly to from New York to Philly by helicopter. So that's not the issue. But the issue is I don't like the being separate from the team, and I think that the bonding with the team will be affected by him staying in New York because, as you know, Lil, New York has its vices that could distract you while living in New York and take away.
Yeah, Lee, we gotta do something about that Wi-Fi, man. It's breaking you up. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna give my take, Lee. I would definitely try to work on that. I heard half of what you said, but look, if I give my take on this situation, and y'all know how I do, I'm gonna give it to y'all straight. This right here is LeBron James All About Me tour, and it's on steroids because it's always been about LeBron James from the start of his career when he got drafted to the NBA, and obviously being the face of the NBA. It's always been about LeBron James, but this is his All About Me tour on steroids. Because when you talk about the situation, Lee, it's not only about the camaraderie. That's obviously a big thing, but it's about the fans of Philly, right? You just disrespected the town of Philly by what you just did. Okay, if I'm a fan of Philly, I'll be like, wait, hold up, bro. What's wrong with Philly? Now I think I've been to Philly one time in my life, even though they're neighbors. I never really, popped out to Philly. I don't got no business in Philly. All right. The only person I know in Philly is my roommate that I had from freshman year at college. Other than that, I don't know nothing about Philly. But what LeBron James just did is the same thing he did with Memphis. He disrespected the community. And that's why I'm not surprised at this. Because remember, when he came out a couple months ago and disrespected Lee, I believe he was living in Memphis at one point. He disrespected that town,
Yeah.
and he didn't care about what he said and how they should move from that area to another area. He didn't take in consideration the local businesses that thrive, especially a black predominantly area, right? He didn't care about it. Why? Because it's all about LeBron James, like it's always been. All right, when these guys were in the bubble a couple years ago, right, when they had all that civil unrest going on, and everybody was deciding if basketball was something that we should focus on. Obviously, we were in the pandemic. Kyrie Irving was like, you know what, we should go. We should get out of here. Why are we playing basketball right now with so much going on in the world? But it was LeBron James who said, you know what? Let's play basketball. Why? Because I have a pretty good chance of winning the chip. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm on to LeBron James. I'm not one of the people that would kiss his ass like other people will. Sorry, you're not going to get that here. I'm going to give y'all the truth. And I feel like Lee, because LeBron James knows how to play the game of basketball at a high level, the unselfishness on the court, it tends to go over people's heads how selfish he is off the court. And he's been that way his entire career, Lee. And it seems like he's taking it up a notch as he approaches his final two seasons. Now, LeBron wants to go out on his own terms. And I'm by all means, why not? But even family, Lee, is on the back burner. Now, Lee, let me preface by saying LeBron James has done a good job, a very phenomenal job. Good is an understatement when it comes to Bronny James. When I look at Dwayne Wade in that situation over there, that's a dysfunctional family right there. All right. And I don't care if this ruffle feathers. I don't care if I'm overstepping my boundaries. I'm going to give it to you real because it's my daggone podcast. He didn't do a good job. All right. Look at that family over there. I've seen a lot of people not do a good job with their families, but that's not LeBron James. LeBron James has put together a family. Quite frankly, I think I like Bronny James more than LeBron James. He's humble, right? That's one thing I would say he got over his dad. He's a very humble guy. And he done a phenomenal job. But with that being said, he put his family to the back burner. I remember when Tom Brady, the GOAT, the real GOAT, went to Tampa. He went to Tampa because Tampa was on the East Coast and his son lived in New York. That's why he signed with Tampa. He could have went to the Chargers. He wanted to go to the Chargers, but he didn't want to have to commute, to see his son. He wanted to be close to his family because guess what? He prioritized family even at that age of him being on his way out. LeBron James, now you're going to the back burner. Cleveland, this is for you. What happened to this is for you? No, it's not for you. It's all about me. And Lee, it's always been that way, but he's taking it up a notch. And that's what this proves to me.
Well, Lil, I got to push back on a couple of things you said. Look, during the pandemic, LeBron was one of the first ones that was out talking about social justice during the George Floyd thing, during the pandemic. And
Talking
so,
Lee doesn't do nothing. Lee.
well, no, look, there's not been a pro athlete that has done more for the community than LeBron James.
His name is Kyrie Irving, Lee.
Stop
His
it.
name
Now,
is Kyrie Irving, Lee.
I can't let you.
His
Kyrie
Lee is
Irving
Kyrie
does
Irving,
a
Lee.
good job. LeBron James does a phenomenal job. He's put kids through college, through high school. He built the school and put kids through college. All of those kids that have went to his college are in college right now. Now we got to pump the brakes on that. Now, putting his family on the back burners, I get it. He's single mind focused on winning the championship. I'm sure he talked to Savannah, and Bryce is going to be at Villanova. So Savannah's going to be on the East Coast, probably supporting Bryce. So the family will be together. Bronny's going to be playing with the Lakers. So the whole putting his family on the back burners, I think that's more hyperbole and talk more than just saying you stay in LA and I'm gonna be out here. So I think that's
everyday Americans that actually work for a living, right? They don't put their family to the back burner. Sure, Lee, I'm sure if you got a job somewhere West Coast, you would talk with your family. You would probably relocate with your family. I would work it out. You probably wouldn't even go take the gig. Am I lying?
Well, look, Savannah. My family would come with me,
Savannah,
Savannah,
unless your wife's name is Savannah, Lee. Unless your wife's name is Savannah, don't talk about, I just asked you a question, Lee.
No, I would take my family with me, but Lil, putting myself and LeBron James in the same category, that's ludicrous. Sports and sports figures are totally different than the general population, right? And so Savannah supports his decision. I read the article that says Savannah supports his decision. This is a good thing. Look, the only thing that I have as far as this move is, I just think the camaraderie, him standing, I don't think it's disrespectful to the city of Philly because, hell, you wasn't going to see him if he stayed in Philly really doing anything in the city. He may even do something for the city of Philadelphia. He's just not staying there. Look, Brady talked about missing his family and missing his kids growing up. All athletes do, especially those that are on a high level that competes for championships. They're never there. So I got to push back on that because I don't feel that's the case here. But I do agree with you that I think
not every athlete Lee has the autonomy of LeBron James in that position where they can be with their family. Some athletes have to go for the vet minimum. So they have to go where they can get the money. Right, so they have to flock. When you're coming up in the game to try to be an athlete at the highest of levels in the NBA, NFL, you have to be away from your family. But when you come, the point is to be able to give yourself leverage where you don't have to travel, which exactly what Bronny is going to have to do, 3,000 miles away, all right, to see your family. That's why
Bronny's going to be playing for the Lakers. This doesn't affect Bronny at all. Bronny's going to be playing for the Lakers, so it doesn't matter about Bronny. Bryce is going to be at Villanova, and Savannah and the daughter's going to be out probably in Villanova or close to it. Or it doesn't matter. Look, bottom line is for LeBron, it's about winning this championship, and I commend him for that. Single-minded, focused on winning the championship. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I think your opinion saying he's selfish, I don't see that as a selfish move. I see that as him focusing. I just don't like the commute from New York because I think it takes away from his bonding with the team in a capacity. But his focus of being there and putting family on the back burner, I don't find that difficult. And to say that the man hadn't done anything, like Tyrone just said,
I didn't say he didn't do anything.
Lost his family.
I didn't say he didn't do anything. I just said LeBron James has been known to be selfish throughout his whole career, and that's a fact. That's the fact.
I haven't seen selfishness in LeBron. I think that's LeBron is the ultimate team player. I really
no. Well, tell Russell Westbrook that. Tell Russell Westbrook that. Well, tell Isaiah Thomas that. Tell all the guys that he got traded that.
That doesn't mean.
Tell all the coaches that he got fired that.
That doesn't mean he's selfish, Lil.
Tell David Black that.
That doesn't mean he's selfish. It's about winning with him. I get that.
Now, Lee,
He fought for Russell Westbrook to come to the Lakers. He handpicked Westbrook.
yeah, yeah,
Didn't
and
work
guess
out.
what? He did Westbrook dirty. He did Westbrook dirty, but and he act like he was his boy. He was saying one thing to the media, like like he supported him, and behind the scenes, he was pushing him away, trying to get him out of here.
To quote Johnny Cochran, if it doesn't fit, you must quit. And he got him out of there. Look, that wasn't a match made in heaven because Russell Westbrook's play was different as far as off the ball play, and he's not a great shooter.
But that's it's not. We're not even talking about the fit right now, Lee. We are talking about the action.
And picked him, but that doesn't
now,
make LeBron selfish.
Let me say this point, Lee, and I want to add this point because I want to talk my stuff here. Because right now, what this tells me is that LeBron James wanted to be a Knick. And it doesn't surprise me because LeBron James would be the type to make a move like that. After we just won a championship, you want to ride on the parade. LeBron, you had that golden opportunity back in 2010. What happened? Where was you at? You want to go to Miami. Now, I'm glad we didn't take LeBron James, okay? Matter of fact, everybody's like, oh, he's going to Philly because he wants to win a championship on a different team. Okay, he could have went to the Golden State. Okay, he could have went other places.
Wouldn't have won a championship
right?
at Golden.
You know why he won? You know why he went to Philly? Because they had the most talent. Save me with the narrative saving here. Okay, I'm glad that we turned LeBron James down because you know what? When LeBron James interviewed here and met with the GM, the owner, and James Dolan, he dissed James Dolan. He talked about how he came up with this clumsy presentation. I remember that. He aired it out.
But Leo, in 2010, the
That's
Knicks
how you
with
burn
LeBron
bridges.
James wouldn't have done.
If I went to a job interview,
personnel.
If I went to a job interview, and I aired out a particular company and the hiring manager on social media and it went viral, you think I'm going to get a job at that same company years later? Hell no, it's not happening, Bron. That's why you have to settle for Philly, and that's why you got to make a 2-hour commute. You don't have to, but you choose to because you really want to live in New York where all the famous people live.
Obviously, LeBron wanted to be in New York. And look, if I was the Knicks, I wouldn't have signed LeBron James either. They don't need him. They're the defending NBA champion. So I agree. I see why the Knicks didn't go for it. They have a team that's coming back intact, basically. They didn't need LeBron. Doesn't mean he shouldn't reach out to him, Leo. Because, look, we know, last 8 years, there's been 8 different champions. So we know that the Knicks, if we look at their odds of repeating, it's very minimal. It's very minimal. Tyrone says everybody dishes Dolan. That's true. But
yeah, and guess what? Dolan don't forgive like that.
Man, look, Dolan's lucky. Dolan's lucky that the Rose guy and Bronson's dad got Bronson to New York.
Yeah. And Dolan was the one that said, you know what, Tom Thibodeau is not the guy.
Owner, and they got
we don't win a championship without Dolan making the executive decision to look at Tom Thibodeau and say, you know what, he's not the one to take us to the promised land. Mike Brown.
I think Leon Rose. And the other guy made the decision and they brought it to Dolan. Now, he ultimately has to sign off on it. But let's not go crazy with the James Dolan love, Leo. Stop it.
Listen, he's not a perfect man, but I'll give him credit where credit is due. I'll give him credit where credit is due. And look, the thing that I want to, and this is my last point, Lee, and then I'll let you bring us home if you want to bring us home. LeBron, in conclusion, this is the All About Me tour. And look, and this is a fact. When he couldn't get over the hump in Cleveland, what did he do? He joined D. Wade and Chris Bosh. When things got stale in Miami after they won a little bit, guess what? He bolted to Cleveland to play with a young and upcoming star in Kyrie Irving and then Kevin Love. And then when that got old and Kyrie Irving left them after they made the finals and he didn't have another guy, he went to L.A. and brought Anthony Davis with him. And then now he's going to Philly to play with the most talented roster right now currently in the NBA. So that's a fact. All right. LeBron James doesn't feel comfortable enough in his own game to say, you know what? I don't need to play with other stars. And when the NBA has finally killed the super team, so I thought, all right, with the second apron, right? And look, just because it's a super team, I don't want people to get this misconstrued because when we call stuff super team, that y'all automatically think that I think that they're going to win a championship. No. because super teams are not proven to be effective. So when I call something a super team, that doesn't mean, oh, yeah, the 76ers is the team to beat. They're not. The Knicks are. And I put 3-4 teams ahead of them. But the reality is,
stop it.
The Spurs, the Thunder, all right? I'll take the Raptors.
No.
There's a lot of teams you could put over them. Like if you talk about the whole NBA and maybe 2 teams in the Eastern Conference ahead of them. Now, and look, the Pacers is out throwing it outside. I'm more worried about the Pacers with a healthy Halliburton than I am Philly. But Lee, and I'm gonna end here and I'm gonna let you bring us on. My thing, and that's my point, is that, and it's stricken away from my head. But look, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with this commute, because I do know that Mayor Mandani, and me being a resident New York, person, I can tell you that he's trying to ban, not ban, but he opposes non-essential helicopter travel, because there was an incident that happened on the Hudson where 6 people died on a tourist helicopter. So my thing here is that, look, LeBron James did what he always does, and this is the All About Me tour, and we'll see how it plays out. Lee, I'll let you bring us on.
I think the mayor will be okay with LeBron traveling from New York to Philly, Leo. I think he'll be okay with that. Look, I don't disagree with nothing you said as far as the team hopping there. Look, the NBA has changed, and that's one of the things in the GOAT conversation that you cannot overlook when you're comparing LeBron and Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and all. That's one thing that for me anyway, I have to weigh that, and I've not brought LeBron down a little bit on the GOAT set. Doesn't mean he's still not top 5, because he is. But selfish, I disagree. I feel that he's single-minded. It's important that LeBron that he wins a 5th championship, Leo. It's very, very important. Now, I don't know what it does if he doesn't win it, and I don't know what it does if he does win it. I don't give him any extra. I'm going to be rooting for him this year to win it, but I don't give him any extra in the GOAT conversation if he wins with Philly. And being matter is important. I just don't think, again, I'll say it for the last time, I think with all these new faces, and it's talk that Drew Holiday may be coming over now if Portland buys out Drew Holiday, which is a great pickup for them if they get him. If with all these new faces, he needs to spend maximum time. And, LeBron is the type of guy that's a unifier. People love to be around him. I just think he needs to spend maximum time there with the rest of his team. And I do think that is a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, final point here. LeBron James said this was all about happiness. Okay, wasn't LeBron James doing LeBron James his entire career? When he went to Miami, smiling ear to ear with Dwayne Wade, not 1, not 2, not 3, right? He looked happy to me. He looked lit to me. When he was laughing at Dirk Nowitzki, who was sick, literally sick, right, with the flu, and he was making fun of those guys, and that's why they got their ass beat, right? I do believe in karma. I do believe in that. It does come back. When he was laughing at Dirk Nowitzki, he seemed happy to me. He seemed like a kid that was in high school in the same class with his best friend, having a good time. So he wasn't happy then. When he literally took over the front office in LA, he wasn't happy then. When he wanted Russell Westbrook and that fall flat on his face, but they still made the move. When he wanted Anthony Davis and that happened, he wasn't happy then. When they drafted his son, Bronny James, who they wouldn't have drafted if his father wasn't LeBron James, he wasn't happy then. Miss me with that garbage. Real Lil on the mic. We're gonna move on to topic number 2. Tyrone, I know that's your guy.
He can be happy then, but he can make.
I know that's your guy, Tyrone. Salute to you,
Tyrone. He can make
Tyrone,
the decision based off of happiness, though, Lil. Come on now.
So unless they clone, like how they clone Tyrone, unless they clone LeBron James, right? Who knows?
Sports, politics, conspiracy theories. We are here to give you our unique perspectives on things happening in the world. It's the one and only, The Real Lil on The Real Lil Show.
speaking of LeBron, obviously there were teams that were left in the dark, and they got to pick up the pieces and move on. One team, that being the Golden State Warriors. Now, how will Steph Curry's end game look with the Warriors after missing out on LeBron James? And is it time to think and fathom the possibility of trading Steph Curry? Lee, the mic is yours.
Yeah, the Golden State's in a lot of trouble, man. They're in a lot of trouble. They signed Draymond Green to a 1-year contract, $27.7 million, I think. But they have not made any significant upgrades to that team. And after striking out on LeBron and Anthony Davis, if they'd have got those two guys, I think they would have been in title contention. But after striking out on them, look, they're going to be down for that 7th, 8th play-in seed again, Leo. And that's not the way I want to see Steph Curry go out. I just don't want to see him go out like that. Playing, he's going to have spectacular nights, but really playing and struggling for survival for the play-in is not what a all-time great player like Steph Curry should be doing. And I just feel like it's time for Steph to go into the front office and say, I'll always be a Warrior. I love the city. I've put my roots down here. I'm always going to help the community, but I want to be traded. It's time to make a move, and I want to be traded. Hell, San Antonio, they got all those players. They got all those players they can send back to Golden State in a trade. Talk to San Antonio about going to San Antonio and make it a competitive West. Make it a competitive NBA, because he needs to be out of Golden State. And he needs to be out of Golden State now. Steph Curry's 38 years old, Leo? 38? And it's time. Look, you can be loyal all you want, but you'll get to the point where you'll be loyal like Charles Barkley was in his last days at Philly. To the point where when he did get traded to Houston, he was done. And you don't want that for Steph Curry. You want him while he's still in his prime right now to go to a team and be significant in the NBA playoff picture and play for a potential 5th title. So, Steph, man, go into the office. I know the ownership loves you. Let them know, look, you've given everything you had. You're going to retire as a Golden State Warrior. You love the community, but it's time to go. And go talk to San Antonio, get some of those young pieces back. San Antonio should give up anybody except Wemby and Dylan Harper for Steph Curry, and go to the Spurs and make that happen.
Yeah, the only move that the Warriors made this offseason, really and truly, was bringing back Draymond Green. And Draymond Green is too busy defending LeBron James on a politicking tour to even worry about the Warriors right now. As a matter of fact, Lee, I want to play this clip because I was actually supposed to play it on the last segment, but I'm going to do so now because it still correlates to the Warriors. Let's run it.
I've never seen so often and so much people, and when I say people, I'm talking about media, I'm talking about fans. I've never seen so many people who just want to find something to tear someone's legacy down. Like, we live in a miserable ass world where people just want to find anything to tear someone's legacy down. And this, for sure, had he come to the Warriors, would have been something that everyone would have tried to use to tear his legacy down. I even saw Charles Barkley say, "Oh, look at it. Now he ring chasing. Philly ain't won a ring in 60 years."
See, can I say something about Draymond?
Yeah, by all means.
Before you go, I just, it kills me. And look, we all live on our laurels, right? If we've done something and we've accomplished something, especially in the team environment, hey, we can puff our chest out and say we're this, that, and a bag of chips, right? Yep. But Draymond talks like, he was the main clog in the championship Warrior teams. It always kills me when I hear Draymond talk. He's, you know, people say he's a Hall of Famer. They're giving away Hall of Fame jackets if you do that. I always say if Draymond Green is a Hall of Famer, Robert Horry is a Hall of Famer. That's what I always say, and I debate anybody on that for his impact on the teams. He got 7 championships. For his impact on the teams that he played on was just as significant. Big shot Rob as Draymond. But Draymond kills me with this stuff. The guy averages 8 points and like 9 rebounds a game, and he thinks that he can say all this stuff. The bottom line with Draymond is you were politicking to get LeBron and Anthony Davis there because it made you relevant again. And now you're talking about this foolishness that you talk about. He's a funny guy to me. I always laugh when I see him, Leo, because he thinks he's bigger than what he is. I'm sorry, I just had to say that.
No, it's all good. You know, I had to say what I had to say about LeBron. You had to say what you had to say about Drake. It's fine. You know, that's what we do. We talk. And if Draymond Green is a Hall of Famer, then I am too. And I never played the game. So, you know, with that being said, you know, look, Draymond Green, you know, he goes on this politicking tour for LeBron James over the last couple of years, you know, to a extent. But with all that politicking, you still couldn't convince LeBron James to join you in Golden State.
Good point. Good point.
Where do they do that at?
Good point.
You know, so why are we exhausting all this energy? Even when LeBron James made his decision in this y'all, he dissed the Warriors. Any team, quite frankly, whether it's, you know, unequivocally or whatnot, maybe, you know, unintentionally, he dissed y'all. He dissed Cleveland. He dissed Miami, right? More so Cleveland and more so y'all, because he was on the West Coast already. His family, his Bronny James was out there, right? It's not a major shift to go from LA to Golden State, right? That's like, you know, a couple hour drives, you know, right? Steph Curry's a hell of a basketball player. I'm pretty sure he would have loved to play with Steph, but he looked at the rest of the roster, which included you, and said, you know what? You're not good enough.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
So Draymond, he flat out called you not good enough. He said, yeah, Steph is good. I love to play with Steph. I had a ball in the Olympics playing with Steph. But, you know, outside of Steph, you know, who are these bums?
The key was, Leo, they could not get Anthony Davis. If they'd have got Anthony Davis.
Needed a guy like Anthony Davis who's not healthy, who hasn't been healthy in 3 years.
But they wanted, if they'd have got Anthony Davis, LeBron would have went to Golden State. But the fact that they couldn't get him, and you're talking about Draymond Green, who, look, you're not a big 3. That was the issue.
Yeah. And LeBron James, like Kendrick, is saying there's no big 3. It's just big me. And that's just the reality. So, yeah, continue. Do your little politicking tour for LeBron James as his spokesperson, like you Paul Heyman, and this is Brock Lesnar, all you want to. But at the end of the day, he just dissed you, bro. And you don't even know it. Yeah. I'm over here quoting mad rap songs. But anyway, I want to talk about Steph. Now, Lee, you mentioned how his career potentially could end up like Charles Barkley at the back end of his career. But I could argue that his career may end up like the last couple of years of Kobe Bryant on the Los Angeles Lakers. Because if you remember those last couple of years, there was a season where he tore his Achilles. They got swept out of the first round of the playoffs, and then he missed the playoffs for the last 3 years of his Laker career. Mm-hmm. And to me, right now, I'm seeing a trend that could be the case with Steph Curry. Now, look, granted, Steph Curry is playing at a higher level than Kobe was at that time. He was averaging more points per game, Steph Curry. You know, he's taking, you know, I guess you could say he's still got game, obviously, clearly, still got game at a high level. Now, not prime Steph, but still got enough game that if you put a team around him, you could win a championship still. But as we get to the end game of Steph Curry's career, they're in a worse spot to be in as a team, which is in purgatory. You know, even if they made the move for LeBron James, guess what? They would have still been in purgatory. They just would have been in purgatory in style. You know, now they got to bottom out with draft capital, which is a long process that doesn't maximize Steph Curry's twilight of his career. They should have made the moves. If they were going to keep Steph, you trade for Jaylen Brown. There's no excuse. All right? And the reality is, Lee, we don't have free agents that are lining up to play in Golden State. After Kevin Durant went over there, won the championships, and left, Nobody's been lining up. How many free agents have they missed? Pascal Siakam, Giannis, Laurie Marketing, Paul George, Kevin Durant said flat out, I don't want to go back there. Okay, and they had a trade agreed to verbally. He said, nah, I'm good. Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Jaylen Brown, now LeBron James. You mean to tell me you had a pool of guys that I just named and you didn't make it, and nobody said, you know what? Let me use my leverage to force my way to Golden State, or y'all to just say, you know what? Let's go and make a move for Steph Curry. No, so yeah, if I'm Steph Curry, I want to trade. However, Lee, this is the caveat. If Steph Curry's not going to ask for one, if I'm the organization, why am I trading him?
Well, you know, look, at some point you got to look towards the future. I mean, let me say this. You know, look, if the organization could go to Steph and say, look, we love you. We would keep you here. And, you know, you're going to always be a Warrior. We're going to pay you. But at some point, the organization has to look towards the future. The one thing I can say about the Warriors, Leo, Mike Dunleavy and that group drafted terribly. They didn't put pieces around Steph once Clay got old and Durant left. They didn't still. Now they still won a championship after Durant left, but they didn't continue to draft and put people around him to build for the future. They missed out. Now they still have Jimmy Butler. It depends on his health, but even with Jimmy Butler, they're not a championship level team. They're still playing for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th place, between 6 and 10, and they won't contend for a title, right? Jimmy Butler won't be back to probably January in any way. So for me, it's like the organization could get players and they can get draft picks for Steph Curry right now, simply because he's still the most deadly shooter the game has right now. So why not make that move? Why not engage with a team like San Antonio, who has all of these players? San Antonio drafted well again this year, who has all of these players. Why not Miami to a certain extent? I'd love to see him with Giannis, but Miami doesn't have anything but draft capital to really deal with. But the Spurs, if the Spurs got Steph and they kept, you know, they could give up Castle. They could give up, you know, the other guy, Bassel. They give up both of those guys. As long as you keep Dylan Harper, you still in business. And you could get Steph Curry. And now you're talking about multiple championships with Wemby. And the Golden State Warriors can build their team with draft capital and young players. It's a win-win. People just have to be willing to do it, Leo. That takes a strong management and owner to sit down with Steph and say, Steph, what do you want to do for the rest of your career? Let's talk about it, because we want to make the best decision for both of us and not just let Steph do what you said, linger like Kobe Bryant.
I mean, look, in theory, you're not wrong, in theory. But you got to realize that the NBA operates a little differently. Right now, you're talking NFL here on the NBA topic. Because the NFL, if you're in purgatory with a superstar player, you're more than likely going to get traded, like what we saw with Matthew Stafford, like what you saw with Myles Garrett, mega trades that we've seen recently, where it was just, you know, a great player with a whole lot of losing. Yeah, we got to get better. But in the NBA, it's different because they operate different. Look at it like this.
Is today's NBA different? Or we
I mean, look, if Damian Lillard didn't request a trade, Damian Lillard would still be on the Blazers. If Giannis says, you know what, I had enough, I want to leave, and have a hard trade request, he would have still been on the Bucks. So at the end of the day, the NBA operate different. They want to sell tickets. It's a players-driven league. It's not a team league. It's a players-driven league. And star players, superstar players, put butts in seats, and you make a lot of money. So unless a player has a hard trade request that says, you know what, I don't want to be here, and I have a year left on my contract, and I'm not going to resign here, then you force them to put the pressure on, you know, trading them and getting them to where they want to go or getting the best package or whatnot. But normally you see a hard request. You don't really see a team, barely, outside of what the Lakers did with Luka Doncic, just literally trade. Look, and they were winning. They dead ass went to the finals a year prior, so it's not like they were losing. So you don't really see that. You see a player say, you know what, I want out. We losing, and I just want to be in a better situation. You don't see a team that's losing with a great player who's happy with making money, trade him. You don't really see that often.
Ray Blackwell said it the same way that they're not. Why? Tyrone, I think, alluded to it as well. The bottom line here is, look, do you want to see all of these other players, Giannis, LeBron, all of your contemporaries, Kawhi, all of your contemporaries, do you want to see all of your contemporaries playing for championships, playing meaningful basketball where you struggle to play in the play-in? Yeah, you're going to have some spectacular games, but do you want to see that? I am of the opinion that at some point, Steph Curry is going to get tired of that, Leo. And I think it's sooner than later. I think everybody who's
if he gets
thinking
tired
that he
of
won't
that,
do that is selling that man short.
if he gets tired of that and he requests a trade, then I think you definitely trade him. But if he doesn't request a trade, how are you, from a PR standpoint, going to sell that to your fans that we just traded Steph Curry, even though he didn't want to go after what Steph Curry did for that franchise?
Let me say this.
Can't do that.
Fans understand, Leo. You got to give fans more credit than this. Fans understand where the Warriors are right now. A progressive ownership and GM would say, go to Steph and say, look, we love you. Hey, you can stay here and retire. We love you for that.
On their podcast and say, you know what, there's no loyalty, when it comes to the front office. And that's why the players go and create super teams. And no, that's what they're going to do. They're going to run with the narrative. The front office is not loyal. Like, how many times we talk about loyalty in the NBA?
It's not about loyalty, though. It's not about loyalty. It's about how you set yourself up for the future. This is not about loyalty. They've been loyal to him. They paid him. They've won championships. The question here is, do we keep Steph Curry till he retires, which could be another 4 years, Leo? He said he wanted to play.
And that's why I think Steph Curry should come out. But Steph Curry got to be the one to do so. If he comes out and say, you know what, I don't like the direction that we are heading. I want a new change of scenery. I want to compete on the highest level. Then guess what? You would do it. You would do it. You would do it for Steph, and you would do it for your future as well. That's a win-win.
Yeah, I think you go to Steph, and you don't have to have this public, right? You go to him and you have a real conversation about where the team is at, where they could possibly go, because they're never going to be bad enough to be a lottery pick, but they're never going to be good enough to win the championship. And you have that conversation, and you do it behind the scenes, and you don't have to be adversaries to make that decision that it's time to part ways for the betterment of both of us, him and the organization. You don't have to be adversaries to do that. You just have to be forward thinking and say, Steph, I know you want to win another championship, so we're going to do that, and we have to build for the future. But the key to the whole fan thing is, Leo, you got to get some quality back. You can't get the trade that Dallas got for Luka, an injury-prone Anthony Davis. Now, if he was totally healthy, that would have been different. You have to get Vassell and Castle and draft picks. Then you can sell that to your fan base. It's all about how bold you are as a GM.
And we'll see how this plays out, because one thing that we can agree on is that the Warriors right now is in basketball purgatory and is not looking good. Me, if I'm Steph, I'll say, I want to go back home. I like what Charlotte is building, out there. And my game fits exactly what the vision of that team is, which is shooting a bunch of threes. And maybe I can fit over there, and maybe I can sell that, and maybe they can sell that to the fan base, and in the NBA in general. So we'll see what happens with Steph.